All right, let's get right into it. We're going to deconstruct a new kind of conflict today. One where the real battle isn't just fought on land, sea, or in the air. The real battlefields are time, information, and, maybe most importantly, perception. This is a conflict that's not defined by months or even weeks, but by mere seconds.
And that brings us to this number, 90 seconds. Now, this isn't just a random amount of time. It's a whole strategic concept, really, one that could totally flip how we think about modern war. It's like this new threshold, a point where an attack happens so fast, it actually outruns our ability to even decide what to do about it.
And this quote from Professor Zhang Shuiqin, well, it just nails it. The whole idea of a hypersonic strike, over and done in 90 seconds, sets the stage for a war fought on all these different fronts at the exact same time. So it's not one battle, it's like 5 battles happening all at once.
So to really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into those 5 key areas. We'll start with that 90-second question itself. Then we'll look at the kinetic battlefield, the actual physical fighting. After that, the economic blockade, the crazy war of perception, and finally, what all this means for the new rules of war. Okay, first up, the 90-second question. This is all about what happens when the speed of an attack completely outpaces the speed of your decision-making. We're talking about a potential hypersonic strike on 15 military bases, and how that forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about defense. See, Professor Zhang's theory is that the main goal of an attack this fast and this widespread isn't just about blowing things up. It's about causing paralysis. It's designed to completely overwhelm a country's ability to think, to coordinate, to fight back, basically to freeze its entire defense system in place. And this is the tech that makes it possible. A hypersonic weapon isn't just really, really fast. It's fast and it's unpredictable. The fact that it can change course in the middle of its flight, well, that's what makes it an absolute nightmare for even the most sophisticated defense systems, because those systems have to predict where a missile is going. So let's shift gears and see how this plays out on the kinetic battlefield, the physical front. And this is where things get weird. The story basically splits into 2 completely opposite realities. It's a true tale of 2 navies. On one hand, you have Iran's strategy. Now, they know they can't go toe-to-toe with huge warships, so instead they use what are called Red Bees. These are swarms of small, fast missile boats. The whole idea is that a ton of these little, hard-to-track boats can just overwhelm a bigger, more advanced naval power. It's a classic asymmetric move, making yourself too painful and too costly to attack. But then, you have the other side of the story. A report from Fox News lays out the U.S. narrative, and it's different. It claims the total and complete destruction of the Iranian Navy. 158 ships, quote, obliterated and at the bottom of the sea.
And here's the thing, right? Both of these realities can't be true at the same time. Is Iran a credible threat with its swarms of Red Bees, or is its navy gone? This massive difference just shows you how thick the fog of war is in a modern conflict. Just figuring out what's actually happening is a battle in itself.
And that confusion bleeds right over into the economic fight. So let's move to the battle for the Strait of Hormuz, which is easily one of the most critical shipping lanes on the entire planet. Okay, so the U.S. declares a naval blockade on Iranian ports. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, not exactly. Ship tracking data analyzed by the BBC shows that even after this blockade was announced, at least 4 tankers with ties to Iran just sailed right on through. So you have to ask, how effective is this blockade really? And this is where it gets super complicated. See, for a blockade to even be legal under international law, it has to be effective. So is the U.S. actually enforcing this thing, or is it more of a warning to scare off civilian shipping? Meanwhile, you've got China calling it dangerous, Iran calling it a violation of their sovereignty, and neighboring Saudi Arabia getting nervous that this could escalate and Iran could start shutting down other key waterways in retaliation. It's a mess.
So how does Iran counter this? With resilience. It looks like they saw this coming and quietly built up a massive floating reserve of crude oil. We're talking an estimated 160 million barrels just sitting out there at sea. It's basically a giant economic shock absorber, giving them a cushion to withstand a blockade for months. And that brings us to our 4th battlefield. And honestly, this one might be the wildest of them all, the war of perception. This is where the fighting shifts from missiles and tankers to stories and AI. The goal? To control the narrative itself. This quote pretty much says it all. With the rise of AI-generated content, propaganda has entered a whole new dimension. It's not just about spinning the facts anymore. It's about creating entirely new realities from scratch to project an image of total strength and control. And you can see these two narratives clashing right here. On one side, Iran is putting out AI videos showing its forces turning back U.S. warships, while its embassies are cheekily promoting tourism to the Strait of Hormuz. On the other side, the U.S. is pushing a story that the Iranian regime is in chaos, that their supreme leader might be injured, and that Iran is running out of options. This isn't just PR. It's strategic warfare designed to break an opponent's morale and make sure the truth becomes just another casualty of war.
So, what in the world does all of this mean? Let's pull all these threads together in our final section and look at the new rules of war that are starting to take shape here. And it really comes down to a fundamental shift in thinking, from dominance to resilience. Okay, first, a quick refresher on how air defense is supposed to work. It's a simple three-step process. You detect the threat, you track it to predict its path, and then you intercept it. Simple enough. But hypersonic weapons are designed to attack that process. By moving way too fast and maneuvering unpredictably, they shrink the timeline for every single step until the whole chain breaks down. That's what people are calling decision collapse. And this is forcing a complete change in military strategy. The new way of thinking about deterrence isn't just about who has the biggest stick anymore. It's about who can take a punch. Power is shifting to whoever has the most resilient system, the side that can absorb a massive first strike and still be able to think, communicate, and operate. And what that means in the real world is that military planners everywhere are shifting their focus. It's no longer about concentrating all your power in one place for precision dominance. Now, it's all about endurance and dispersal. We're talking more underground facilities, more mobile launchers, more backup systems, all of it built on the assumption that your big, fixed bases just aren't safe anymore. Which brings us right back to Professor Zhang's incredibly powerful conclusion. This one sentence might just define the next chapter of military history. The real advantage might not go to the one who strikes first, but to the one who can survive being struck first. And that leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question to think about. In a world where speed can paralyze a nation's defenses, and where resilience is the new currency of power, what does being secure even mean anymore? In this new age of warfare, is anyone truly safe?